India achieved its independence in August 1947. This was a truly historic moment for the nation. However, the country immediately faced numerous and very significant challenges. The economy inherited from colonial rule was fragile. It was predominantly agrarian, meaning most people depended on farming for their livelihood. The first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, had a clear vision for building a modern and self-reliant India. He firmly believed that the state, or government, had a crucial role to play in driving economic development. His government, therefore, focused its efforts on establishing a strong industrial base and laying the foundations for future growth. This was a period filled with immense hope, careful strategic planning, and the determination for India to stand independently after centuries of foreign domination. Under Nehru's leadership, the government of India adopted a strategy of state-directed industrialization. This approach meant that the government made substantial investments in public sector enterprises. The primary focus of these investments was on heavy industries. These included vital sectors such as steel manufacturing, machine tools, and heavy engineering. Simultaneously, significant resources were allocated to developing critical infrastructure. Large-scale projects like dams for irrigation and hydroelectric power and new power plants were initiated across the country. These foundational steps were considered essential for building a self-sufficient and resilient economy. During the period from 1950 to 1964, India's gross domestic product, or GDP, showed an annual growth rate of approximately 4%. This represented a steady and commendable start for a newly independent nation grappling with numerous complexities. Despite the progress made in industrialization and infrastructure, India continued to face many deep-rooted economic difficulties during its early decades. The country's exports were not growing at a pace sufficient to earn the necessary foreign exchange. This made it hard to pay for essential imports. Poverty remained widespread, affecting a vast majority of the population across the expansive nation. Many citizens continued to live in extremely challenging conditions with limited access to basic amenities. The public education system and healthcare facilities were largely inadequate to meet the needs of the large and growing population. Furthermore, the agricultural sector, which provided employment to the largest segment of the workforce, was struggling with low productivity and outdated methods. Then, in the mid-1960s, India was struck by severe and consecutive droughts. These droughts led to critical food shortages, pushing the country to the brink of a famine. It became unmistakably clear that India urgently needed a radical transformation in its agricultural practices and policies to ensure food security for its people. The acute food crisis experienced in the mid-1960s served as a powerful catalyst for the Green Revolution. This was a period of major agricultural transformation in India, fundamentally changing farming practices. New high-yielding varieties, or HYVs, of essential crops, particularly wheat and rice, were introduced to farmers. These HYV seeds had the potential to significantly increase crop output per unit of land. Farmers were encouraged and supported to adopt better irrigation techniques, ensuring a more reliable water supply for their crops. The use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides also increased, helping to boost yields and protect crops. Advanced agricultural technology and machinery, though initially limited, began to play a more significant role. The collective impact of these changes enabled India to overcome its recurrent food shortages. The country achieved self-sufficiency in food grain production, a truly remarkable and vital achievement for its stability and development. The Green Revolution also contributed to a reduction in poverty, especially in rural areas where agriculture was the primary source of income and sustenance for millions of families. By the late 1980s and the beginning of the 1990s, the Indian economy found itself confronting a severe and multifaceted crisis. Government expenditure had been consistently high for many years. This led to large and unsustainable fiscal deficits, meaning the government was spending much more than it was earning. Crucially, the country's foreign exchange reserves, which are needed to pay for imports and service foreign debt, dwindled to alarmingly low levels. At one point, India had reserves sufficient for only a few weeks of essential imports, such as petroleum products. The nation was struggling to meet its international financial obligations. There was a real danger that India might default on its loans. This was a profound balance of payments crisis, The situation was extremely dire and demanded immediate, bold and drastic corrective actions. It became evident that the existing state-controlled economic model was no longer viable or sustainable. India stood at a critical crossroads, needing decisive leadership to steer it away from a potential economic collapse and towards a new path of stability and growth. In June 1991, a new government led by Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao assumed office. Dr. Manmohan Singh, a renowned economist, was appointed as the finance minister. This leadership duo took on the formidable task of steering India out of the economic crisis. Together, they initiated a series of comprehensive and far-reaching economic reforms. These reforms were fundamentally aimed at opening up the Indian economy to greater market forces and global integration. They wanted to unshackle the economy from excessive controls and regulations. This marked a significant and historic departure from the earlier policies that had emphasized state control and import substitution. Prime Minister Rao and Finance Minister Singh demonstrated considerable political courage and foresight in undertaking these difficult and often unpopular measures. Their decisions during this critical period would fundamentally alter India's economic trajectory for many decades to come, setting the stage for a new era of growth and development. The economic reforms introduced in 1991 were extensive, touching almost every aspect of the Indian economy. One of the most significant changes was the dismantling of the complex industrial licensing system, often referred to as the License Raj. This system had previously required businesses to obtain numerous permits and approvals from the government to start, operate or expand their activities. Its removal made it considerably easier for entrepreneurs to establish and grow their businesses. Import tariffs, which are taxes on imported goods, were substantially reduced. This opened up the Indian market to foreign goods and increased competition. Controls on foreign direct investment, or FDI, were also eased significantly, making it more attractive for foreign companies to invest capital and technology in India. Simultaneously, the government focused on macroeconomic stabilization measures. These included efforts to control high inflation and reduce the large fiscal deficit. The Indian rupee was also devalued to make Indian exports more competitive in international markets. These reforms collectively aimed to create a more efficient, competitive and market-oriented economic environment. The economic liberalization program initiated in 1991 had a profound and transformative impact on the Indian economy. It effectively unleashed the dynamism and entrepreneurial spirit of Indian businesses and individuals, which had been constrained by the earlier regulatory regime. Following these reforms, the Indian economy began to experience a significantly higher rate of growth. There was a substantial surge in foreign investment inflows as global companies sought opportunities in the newly opened market. New industries, particularly in the services sector, began to flourish, creating new employment opportunities. The reforms also played a crucial role in further reducing poverty levels across the country. India's integration into the global economy deepened considerably with increased trade and financial flows. This period truly marked a watershed moment in India's modern economic history. It laid a robust foundation for India to emerge as one of the world's fastest-growing major economies in the subsequent decades, changing its global standing and prospects. As India stepped into the 21st century, it continued along the path of robust economic growth that had been set in motion by the reforms of the 1990s. The earlier policy changes had created a new economic landscape. The services sector emerged as a particularly strong engine of this growth. Within services, information technology, or IT, and IT-enabled services, or ITS, experienced a phenomenal expansion. Indian IT companies rapidly gained global recognition for their high-quality services, skilled workforce, and cost-effectiveness. This boom in the IT sector created a multitude of new, well-paying jobs for skilled professionals across the country. The Indian economy became increasingly diversified, gradually moving away from its traditional heavy reliance on agriculture as the primary source of national income. This period witnessed India's emergence as a significant and influential player in the global economic arena. Many multinational corporations began to view India not only as a large potential market, but also as an important destination for investment and global operations. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, whose government came to power in 2014, several significant new economic initiatives were launched. These were designed to further modernize the economy and enhance its competitiveness. One of the most ambitious and far-reaching reforms was the introduction of the Goods and Services Tax, or GST. Implemented on July 1, 2017, the GST aimed to create a unified national market by subsuming a complex web of multiple indirect taxes levied by the central and state governments. Another major transformative development during this period was the creation and popularization of the India Stack. This term refers to a suite of digital public infrastructure platforms. It includes Aadhaar, the unique biometric identification system for residents, eKYC, or Know Your Customer, for digital identity verification, and the Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, for instant cashless transactions. These ambitious initiatives were intended to formalize the economy, improve the ease of doing business, increase tax compliance, and promote transparency. Technology has undeniably played a pivotal and transformative role in India's recent development narrative. The India Stack, particularly the Unified Payments Interface, or UPI, completely revolutionized digital payments across the country. UPI witnessed massive and rapid adoption, making cashless transactions a common and convenient feature of daily life for millions of Indians. This was significantly aided by the availability of affordable mobile data plans and the widespread penetration of smartphones, which connected a vast number of Indians to the internet for the first time. This digital connectivity spurred the exponential growth of the digital economy. This included the flourishing of e-commerce platforms, online education, digital entertainment, and various other online services. The technology sector as a whole continued its impressive growth trajectory. Digital services and the gig economy, which relies on short-term contract work often facilitated by digital platforms, expanded rapidly. These technological advancements have profoundly transformed how Indians live, work, bank, shop, and interact, contributing substantially to overall economic modernization and inclusion. During this period, the sectoral composition of the Indian economy underwent significant shifts, reflecting its evolving nature. The share of agriculture in India's gross domestic product, or GDP, continued its long-term decline. It fell from approximately 35% in the fiscal year 1990 to 91 to around 15% in 2022 to 23. Despite this declining share in national income, agriculture still employs a substantial portion of the Indian workforce, estimated at around 40%. The manufacturing sector's contribution to GDP also experienced a decline, dropping from about 17% in 2010 to roughly 13% in 2022. In stark contrast, the services sector became the dominant contributor to India's GDP. As of 2025, it accounts for approximately 55% of the nation's economy. This clear trend highlights a significant structural transition towards a more service-oriented economic model, with IT, finance, telecommunications, and trade playing increasingly important roles. Despite the impressive economic growth and modernization achieved over several decades, India, as of 2025, continues to grapple with a number of persistent and complex economic challenges. The momentum of economic growth experienced a noticeable slowdown after 2016. Several factors, including the impact of demonetization in late 2016 and a subsequent decline in private investment, contributed to this deceleration. Rising income inequality remains a significant societal concern. The economic benefits generated by growth have not always been distributed evenly across different segments of the population or regions of the country. There is also continued underinvestment in crucial social sectors such as public education and healthcare, which are vital for long-term human capital development. Furthermore, sluggish job creation, particularly for the large number of young people entering the workforce each year, poses a major hurdle. The manufacturing sector has also struggled to achieve its full growth potential and create the volume of employment opportunities needed for a burgeoning population. The Indian government has continued to implement various reforms and policies aimed at addressing these multifaceted challenges and bolstering economic performance. Recent labour market reforms sought to simplify the regulatory environment by consolidating 29 existing central labour laws into 4 comprehensive labour codes. This initiative aims to improve the ease of doing business, encourage formal sector employment, and provide better social security for workers. To stimulate investment and make India more competitive globally, corporate tax rates were significantly reduced. Infrastructure development has remained a key priority area for the government. The national railway network has been expanded and modernized with flagship projects like the semi-high-speed Vande Bharat express trains. Road connectivity has seen substantial improvements through ambitious initiatives such as the Bharatmala Pariyojana, which focuses on optimizing the efficiency of freight and passenger movement across the country. Ports and aviation infrastructure have also undergone modernization through programs like Sagamala and the UDAN scheme for regional air connectivity. These ongoing efforts are considered crucial for sustaining long-term economic growth and improving overall competitiveness. Through these decades of profound socio-economic transformation, India's position and influence on the global stage have evolved considerably. From a newly independent nation cautiously finding its place in a complex post-colonial world, it has grown into one of the world's largest and fastest-growing major economies. Its large and predominantly youthful population presents both a significant demographic dividend and a substantial policy challenge in terms of education, skilling, and employment. India now plays an increasingly important and assertive role in various international forums and global economic discussions, reflecting its growing economic might and strategic importance. The country's foreign trade volume has expanded significantly over the years. India now exports a diverse range of goods and services, including petroleum products, pharmaceuticals, diamonds, electronics, software services, and textiles, to countries across the globe. This journey reflects a growing national confidence and a more proactive engagement in its international dealings and partnerships. In conclusion, India's journey since attaining independence in 1947 is a compelling narrative of remarkable transformation and resilience. From the state-led planned economy of the initial decades through the critical agricultural self-sufficiency achieved via the Green Revolution, and then to the dynamic market-oriented economy that emerged following the landmark liberalization reforms of 1991, the nation has navigated periods of profound change and overcome immense obstacles. The ongoing digital revolution, coupled with continuous policy reforms, continues to shape its developmental trajectory in the 21st century. While significant challenges related to inequality, job creation, and human development persist, India's economic and social progress over the past 7.5 decades has been undeniably substantial. Today, as of 2025, it stands as a major global power, its multifaceted evolution mirroring a broader shift towards a more confident, aspirational, and assertive national identity, poised to engage with the complexities and opportunities of the future.